All right, hello. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm here just trying to figure out the best placement for the camera. Um, that's what the last few minutes I've been doing is trying to figure out the best way to do this. Because as you can probably tell, it's really, really wide. So it's going to be a lot of me moving the camera back and forth. But the figure this is going to probably run a couple hours. And just run through a whole bunch of stuff that individual people want to see that's not going to make it into any videos. So, like, I've had requests for checking SDR gaming, Dolby Vision, how bright it is on one versus the other, things like that. So, I'm going to use this stream to go through some of the stuff that's just going to take up too much time to go into a normal video. So, I'll be keeping an eye on chat. And whenever you guys have a suggestion, I'll try to go through them in order. I'm also going to try and show out some things that I've figured out along the way. Right now, the Sony is pretty much in its out-of-the-box settings. The Sony would be on your right, and the LG is over here on the left. Yeah, so pretty much I have the Xbox Series X, the PS5, Switch, can run the Spears and Munzel disc. I could pull out the meter, take some measurements if you want, or just tell you the measurements that I've gotten. Bunch of different things to try out. Don't know if we will be joined by anyone or not, but I have sent out invites, so we will see. All right, so right now I have Forza Horizon 4 on the screen running in Dolby Vision. So if you see a delay on the Sony, that's because the A80J does not have a Dolby Vision game mode, so its input lag is higher. So let me grab the controller. All right. VRR debacle. Well, they've removed and re-added and removed and re-added it to different web pages more than once. I imagine it's still coming. If it doesn't, that's going to be quite an issue for them. I don't see why they can't get it working, though. Panel quality. I can show some pictures of that real quick, actually. Let me do that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and make that full. All right, so you can see pink tint. The A80J has quite a bit more noticeable pink tint than the G1. And here it is from the front. You can kind of see it over here. So this was 4% right out of the box. This was before pixel refresher and with only like an hour on it. So this is typical to see this. No, 720 is the limit for the way this is set up. And then here's 3%. So the one thing I don't like with 3% is this like glowing pink and red in the corners. Hopefully that'll lessen later on. But so far, all the stuff you're seeing wasn't visible in content. So compared to the G1, the G1 has less visible stuff going on, but it had one bar right around here that was more aggressive and is visible in content. I have since done a pixel refresher and been running it overnight, so all this cleaned up pretty good. But I'm not going to be able to get pictures until it's darker in here. All right. Let's see. They're the same price. Which would I buy between the two? Well, that's kind of tough. It comes down to um, do you want the gaming features and warranty of the G1? So if they were the same price, then I would go for that. But being that I haven't seen them be the same price and the A80J is typically cheaper, then they're so very close that your deciding factor should be if you want the gaming features, the connectivity features, and the warranty. So before I get into the gaming, I have some more pictures I can go through. Hey, David, and review for the tube. Thanks for coming by. Yeah, I'm sure they will clean up more. Like I said, I've already done one pixel refresher last night, gave it some hours, and the only thing that's visible in content is if there's a lot of snow or other white stuff, then I can see the pink tint more on the Sony. Whereas the G1, that bar, if it's a really dark scene, then I can see that bar going through the screen. VRR and ALLM on the Sony reason enough to switch back to the C1. That's so the only game where I have seen VRR make a really noticeable difference so far was the new expansion for Sea of Thieves. That game has really bad performance, and therefore the there's a lot of screen tearing. But the flip side of that is in VRR, then you get the VRR flicker in that expansion because it's mostly dark. So it's, I don't know, like I definitely would want VRR because I think it's going to be more important as time goes on. So especially if you plan to keep the TV for more than a few years, I would keep that in mind if you want that smoother gaming experience. This, don't worry, it's literally the same thing as LG. It's okay to do one or two when you first get it, and then after that, you want to wait maybe like every 1,000 hours do it. Let me know if I'm too loud or too quiet or anything as well. Let's see. All right, so this is going to cover a lot in the review. What had happened for me was I had the 77C1 and then the A80J, and I was more shocked with the image quality with that comparison that the A80J was better. Then the G1 comes, and there wasn't that much of a difference. And now that I have them side by side, I can tell you they are 99.5% the same. But there's a couple of asterisks to that. The Sony is better out of the box, especially with shadow detail. The G1 actually appears a bit brighter in more of the scenes, although there are some scenes where the Sony's brighter. As far as measurements, they are pretty much the same. What the Sony does bring to the table is the reality creation. Reality creation is very noticeable, and there is nothing on the LG that actually competes with that. And what I mean by that is the LG has the AI settings, it has super resolution, but you never see it do anything. And it apparently only works in sub 4K content, whereas reality creation, very adjustable, very easy to see its difference, and it works on 4K as well. Ninjishin, thanks for stopping by. Yes, the Sony's on the right, LG's on the left, and I've reset them so that they are pretty much out of the box settings. Right now, Forza is running in Dolby Vision, so that's Dolby Vision Bright on the Sony, whereas it's Dolby Vision Gaming Mode on the LG. And I'm going to switch over to HDR10 in a minute. I just wanted to show the difference in the input lag when it's in Dolby Vision. Like you can see when it flips frames like that, how the Sony lags behind. All right, I think I missed some stuff here, so I'm going to scroll back up for a second. Let's see, Spillage Village, thanks for coming by. Yeah, so just keep in mind at 77 inches, it doesn't matter if it's the A80J, the C1, they're going to have the same panel as the G1, the newer, Evo or WBE panel. That's kind of hard to say. The older one had less pink tint. So the uniformity issues that I was showing, like I said, they're pretty much cleaned up. They're not visible in content. They're not a big deal. Like there's a lot of visible stuff there, but it's faint. I had to overexpose the camera to really pick it up. The biggest panel issue with this particular A80J is the pink tint, I would say, is more on the moderate side. The G1 has essentially, I wouldn't say no pink tint, but it's very, very limited. The 65-inch G1 I had the worst pink tint that I had seen, where the left third of the screen was pink. Any way to tell? Well, you would need a spectro and to check the SPD, and so pretty much for most people, no. You can try to go by the whole pink tint thing, but there's a lot of variance when it comes to that, so it's really hard to tell. Processing differences. Yeah, let me grab the remote and see what the reality creation is set to. Let's see, camera needs to turn. Yeah, so reality creation is currently on auto. So let's flip through this a little bit. Let's go to manual. If we turn it down to minimum, let me know if you can still see a difference, and then I'll turn it up higher. Which one's brighter when you're watching sports? Sports is typically going to be SDR, and the G1 does have a SDR brightness advantage, especially in that you can disable pretty much all the dimming, so you don't have to worry about it dimming when you're watching it. So I would go for the G1 over the Sony's if sports is your main thing. Yes, currently they are both in Dolby Vision. Yeah, I was definitely more surprised than I expect. Like I knew they were going to be similar, but I didn't expect this similar. Let me pull up these pictures really quick that I took. Some of you, I'm sure, have already seen this, but for the rest of you that haven't, let's see. Share screen. All right, so this is on the LG. Don't worry about these waves. It's just from the camera from getting really close to the TV. So if you look at where it's these letters here, you can't really make them out. And then right here on the sidewall of the tire is the width of the text that says the width of the tire. And then if I switch over to the A80J with reality creation, then you can make out it says February and it says 285. So that's what reality creation brings to the table. The other thing is if you look down here, this is the LG Black Crush in quotations. And then down here is the Sony. You can see this detail that you couldn't see on the LG. Oh, I got to remove the question. Sorry about that. Here you go. Yeah, so down here, you can see this detail. But on the LG, it's much darker. Let's see. And Ahmed, thank you for the super chat. Let's see. Where were we? Let me put up a banner to show for the people joining. But the LG is on the left and the Sony is on the right. Then let's see, show comments. There we go. All right, this is kind of wasn't expecting this many people, this many comments and questions. So Just bear with me as I'm trying to get through all of this. Trying not to miss anything here. I missed a super chat. Brett, thank you for that. ALLM, yes, I agree. That is, I wouldn't say pointless, but it is one of the least important things to me, just because I will always check that it's in game mode because I'm not going to trust it. Nick, if you're exchanging them for the banding, just make sure you give a good, let's say 10 hours at minimum of bright HDR and run a pixel refresher, and then that'll give you a good idea of how much it's going to clean up. All right, let me start going through some other pictures here. All right, so this was SDR, and this is the Sony on the bottom and the LG on the top. And you can see more light, brighter coming through right here. However, they both were set to measurably the same brightness. So this is the processor at work giving extra brightness. And then if you look on the sidewall of the tire, again, it's a little sharper, easier to read. All right. So let me turn the reality creation up really high, like higher than you would ever want to use it. Go look for some textures. I mean, right there, you can see a major difference in the textures on the ground. Bravia Core, I mean, it doesn't have a good rep right now. I actually did kind of like it. I've watched a couple movies on there. I think it does look good. But I would suggest either having your router sitting right by it, or getting one of the USB to Ethernet adapters to have faster speed, because you need at least a 115 megabit per second connection at the TV in order to get the full benefit of Bravia Core. Let's drive over here real quick, and then I can try to see if there's any banding visible. And I'm going to put the reality creation back to auto. Smooth gradation is currently off on the Sony. And as far as banding right now, not really seeing anything because I'm going through my receiver to split the signal. It's 60 hertz for both. So at 60 hertz, it's very hard to see any banding. And the LG says it's right about 800 nits out of the box. It's a 760, but in game mode. All right, so this is complicated. In movie mode, it's about 760 nits on this one at 10% window. In game mode, it drops a little bit to about 740. But if you're in game boost mode, then it goes up over 800. Not using that currently. And then after calibration, the LG went up to about 810 nits, 10% window. in movie mode. So gained some brightness with calibration. On the Sony, I did check last night to the same white point. It also was, I was getting 805 at a 10% window. Or sorry, that was at 5%. For some reason, the Sony's at 10% measure lower. So it was only 730 at a 10% window, but 805 at 5%, and then kept climbing up to 820 at a 1/4% window. So that's something that the Sony does, is as the bright area gets smaller, it pushes more. The LG, it does too, but not to the same extent. King of what? If you were to say gaming OLEDs, then yes, there is, I mean, even just gaming TV period that offers the most features and the best all-around gaming experience, then yes. As far as movies and stuff goes, they're so very similar, but if you want that extra sharpness of the reality creation, then the Sony would win that. Let me see if I can adjust this a little more. Try to look at some different colors, reflections here. So again, remember that these are pretty much in their out-of-the-box settings right now. With calibration, they do look the same. So I put them both to the same white point, and colors and everything was the same. I've seen some people, try to say one has better color saturation or more color than the other. Honestly, if they're calibrated properly, they're the same. Like the difference comes down to when the XR processor wants to push highlights and the reality creation. But the G1 does have a slight brightness advantage overall, especially in SDR. For gaming, I'm using HGIG. And then for if it's like bright in the room, the wind, lights on and stuff, then yes. But actually, I'll come back to this because I want to show you guys something that I found interesting with Dolby Vision. So let's see if I missed any other questions really quickly. Yes, Game Optimizer does help with the black level adjustment on the LG. The Sony pretty much comes with better blacks out of the box, so it's kind of, let's call it a wash for gaming when it comes to black levels. It's just the LG, you have to do the manual work yourself, and that's pretty much a running theme all around, that the Sony is better out of the box with minimal adjustments. But when calibrated, the LG has more calibration settings, but the Sony is pretty much closer to being calibrated. So, but they end up very close. KG, there you are. I'm going to be live for a while, so if you want to join, go ahead and join the link I sent you. It would be nice to have someone helping with the chat, because I did not expect this many people to show up on such short notice, but thank you all for coming. And like I said, bear with me. It's kind of a lot to go through the questions and trying to show the stuff at the same time. FPS counter in game mode on the LG. Yes, the that VRR frame rate counter is very nice to have. This is where Sony needs to start working with their PlayStation division now. They need to catch up in the gaming features. It makes no sense to anybody how they can make the most popular gaming system but then not have the gaming features on their TVs. It doesn't make sense to anybody. Adrian, thank you for the super chat. I'm on my second A80J. The first had too dense and vertical banding. Wow, was the box damaged in shipping? This new one has banding even after a panel refresh. It cleaned up lightly, but now I see more faint bands. What would you do? It's depending on the size and what you can, and if you can live with it or not. I would just keep exchanging it. If it's through Best Buy or whatever, just tell them you want in-home exchange. Take a picture of it with your phone when you go to the store and just be like, this is unacceptable for however much this TV costs. And the Sonys typically are pretty good, so you should get one, I would think, on your next one. That should be good, unless you just have really bad luck. Show night scene in city with HDR highlights pop. All right, yeah, so I do have a scene in mind that's similar, but yes, I will get to some other stuff. So this is probably going to run a while, just all these comments coming in. TV on the right has more depth, judging off a phone screen. Sky looks way brighter on the left. All right, so KG, I guess since you joined later, right now the Xbox is set to Dolby Vision because I wanted to show, which I'll do that right now, the Sony not having a Dolby Vision game mode. Look at that. If I flick the stick, just watch how much longer it takes for the Sony to move and then stop. That's why Dolby Vision currently is, in my opinion, not playable unless it's like a turn-based game. And Sony needs a Dolby Vision game mode very soon. All right, so I think that's enough of Dolby Vision. I'm going to switch the Xbox over to HDR now. And this is something I wish the Xbox would do, is when you go to load a game, either one, let you set a preference if you want HDR Dolby Vision, or two, when you load the game, ask you which one you want instead of having to disable Dolby Vision at a system level. Because once you get access to Dolby Vision games, it's going to force all of them that way. And then the other thing is when you switch, you have to actually, let me grab their LG remote. So even though I switched it, it should be still in Dolby Vision without, let's see. Or no, actually, it's worse. If you switch out of Dolby Vision without closing out of the game, it puts you into SDR. So I have to close out of the game and relaunch it to go to HDR. So hopefully rent prices drop soon. I can get a bigger work area. All right, so I got to quit out of the game. Do you lose detail when you put smooth gradation on high? Yes, on high, you do lose noticeable detail. On medium, it's extremely hard to tell if you're losing anything, but it does smooth out skies if you're at 120 hertz in gaming. So I would just use medium if you're playing at 120 hertz with HDR. All right, let's see how many more comments I got to catch up on. How much vertical banding to accept? Just give it enough of a break-in period to give it a chance. I've seen some horrible looking screens come back and be recovered. So I'd say like a minimum of 10 hours of pure HDR bright content. What I do is when I'm not home or sleeping, I just go on to Netflix and put on Our Planet because it's Dolby Vision, and I can put it to the brightest Dolby Vision settings, and then there's no letterbox bars or whatever you want to call them. There's no logos, and it'll just keep playing. So that's what I do. And then after that, just run your pixel refresher, and it typically will make a very big difference. After that, watch some content and see if you see it in real content. If you see it in real content, then it's probably not acceptable. No, so I think the G1 gets a bad rap. Because like if you have it sitting next to the A80J or the C1 or whatever, it's kind of hard to see its advantage right away. But but there are cases where the G1 is brighter. It hangs with the A90J. And if you don't want to believe me, ask Ninjishin. He just calibrated one, and he got over 900 nits on it, and that's in accurate calibrated settings. Like that's A90J territory, and the A80J is pretty much right there too, depending on your luck and how it's calibrated. All right, KG seems to be joining us.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what are you doing?
Just chilling. Hey, make sure everybody can hear me in chat. If you can't,
All
tell
right.
me to turn up my mic.
All right. I can hear you, but I don't see you. I just see your logo.
Yeah, nah, I don't have a cam on right now. So since you're full
All right.
screen, I figured I'll just talk.
All right.
Yeah, that works better anyway.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Can you see the chat?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Which one am I keeping? I'm going to be keeping the A80J because I got it substantially cheaper, and then I'm going to use that price difference to get a 48-inch C1 to replace my monitor and to play games that I want VRR or Dolby Vision or whatever. And I did play the Halo preview. I have a video on it. I saw no difference on that with Dolby Vision, except for it did seem to have a little bit better shadow detail, but that could just be the Dolby Vision algorithm on the LG TV. And what I noticed in Forza and Halo with Dolby Vision is if there's a color that's like a mixture of red and orange, the Dolby Vision separates it and shows it better than HDR. But those are the only two cases where I've seen that. So for the most part, Dolby Vision currently is not making a impact in image quality of games.
Yeah, that's what I saw too so far. But with the test that you did with Halo, you noticed the colors a little bit different,
Mm-hmm.
which is something different. I haven't really noticed testing out games that weren't in Dolby Vision, so I wonder how much is mastered so far in that Halo game.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so early to tell, and that it was kind of a disappointment not to have like any kind of indication of what to expect yet. But
Right. But the fact that there's not a slider is kind of a good thing, right? Like, because we
yeah,
know that we're not going to be expecting that
mm-hmm.
with Dolby Vision gaming. So,
Yeah. And I don't know if any of you guys watch Amok for All, but he has been testing Dolby Vision in games, and I saw he tested uh, the Microsoft Flight Simulator and was seeing a difference. And again, it's in orangish colors, orange reds.
yep.
So it does seem to be something with the color science and Dolby Vision. Can I
Yeah,
show
I
some
was going to
HD
ask.
SDR gaming? Yes, I'm going to switch over to the Nintendo Switch, no pun intended, in a few minutes.
Sweet. I was going to ask, did you test out Microsoft Flight Simulator yet?
No, I don't have
Not
it
yet.
downloaded yet.
Gotcha.
And honestly, I'm not going to have it in time before the G1 has to go, but I can look into the Dolby Vision movie mode that the Sony has, or when I get the C1, then look at it more.
Yeah.
Does the Sony TV have reduced black crush? Yes, the Sony TV has brighter gamma neared black. Although interestingly enough, the last A80J that I saw or had, I could put the black level to 49. This one it needs to be at 51. There's panel variants. It's also new, not broken in yet, so that could explain that. Compared to C1 or G1, well, if you're comparing those two specifically, the G1 is a bit brighter, but the main advantage is it's more relaxed ABL. So if you have a very bright overall scene, the G1 is brighter noticeably. All right, so now we're in HDR10. Let's see what kind of picture settings the Sony's on.
You want to show them a little bit of the live color, how that's different, and how you can get that to kind of be close to the saturation on the color for the LG
Um,
TVs?
yeah, I can do a couple things to show that.
Because
So
I
HDR tone mapping off is not correct when in HDR10. You want to be using gradation, and then brightness. You're not going to really see much difference because I have set the clipping points in the Xbox menu to 800 nits, so you can see no change. So just use gradation preferred, but when you adjust the Sony in that menu or any of the games that have sliders, you have to turn this off, make your adjustment, and then put on gradation preferred.
Yeah, and because like one of the things I noticed with the color right out of the box is since I didn't calibrate either of these TVs when they were side by side, I definitely noticed that the C1 had more of a color pop, and I had to change the Sony to live color to get anything close to that color. So that's one of the things I noticed. First of all, you can kind of see it right here.
All right, yeah, tomorrow. So I was explaining earlier, LG Super Resolution does not seem to do anything if the device is outputting 4K. So that means if you're using an Apple TV or an NVIDIA Shield or whatever, and it's set to upscale to 4K, it's not going to do anything because the TV is getting a 4K signal. So the Nintendo Switch is the only thing I can really think of that's going to present a 1080p signal. So I'm going to try it out on that and see if I can see difference. But in all video and movie content, I haven't seen any change. And yes, I also know that people say it ties to the sharpness. So I turned sharpness up to 20 and then went from super resolution off to high and see no change in any content other than what the sharpness being at 20 does. But again, we will try that on the Switch here shortly.
It might just be the camera, but I actually like the way it looks with tone mapping off for that TV that you're messing with right now.
Yeah, that's the A80J. Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks really good with it off.
And sorry, you can see the back of my chair. I'm going to try and scoot as much as I can. So this, I could put the fisheye lens on the camera, but then it's just going to distort the sides. So I don't want to do that.
Can you move it to the left a little bit, your camera? So
To
you
the
see both?
left. So this way.
Yes, I guess the camera's left.
Yeah, it's just in my chair. You're going to see more of my chair.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Like I'm wedged up against my desk as much as I can be.
Gotcha.
Um,
Trying to make the most of a situation.
yeah.
Yeah. All
So
right.
this is why when I do my video, I'm just gonna record one with the camera locked, then I'm gonna record the G1, then take it off the wall, put the A80J in the same spot, camera at the same settings, and record all the stuff, and then put it together in the video like that.
Yeah. So Matt, it's tough to do cable news, sports, and really YouTube TV in general because anything that is copyrighted could get this video taken down and have a strike against the channel. So that's something that is really hard to demonstrate.
Yeah. So what I will be doing is going through games, and then I'm gonna switch over to the Spears and Munzel disc because so far, I've been able to run that whole demo without getting copyrights. And then I can go to certain shows or movies or whatever and pause them and try that.
Yeah.
All right, so I just reset the white balance and game mode on the LG. So this is out of the box LG and out of the box Sony.
Oh, so you reset both TVs?
I just now hit the button I forgot to reset the white balance on game mode.
Okay.
So I just put the LG in game mode. The Sony, I haven't done anything yet.
I'm a little late. Did you already show reality creation?
No, well, sort of. I showed a picture that I took and showed the difference that it made in a picture, and then I showed a little bit like on the gravel.
Okay.
But right now, reality creation's on, so let me turn it off.
Like to me, reality creation is just so great for gaming.
Now I'm gonna put it back to manual, and then back to auto. So at this distance, it's kind of hard for the camera to pick it up, but if you look really closely, like around here, you might be able to see it. So what's nice is that you can use this in game mode, whereas again, the super resolution doesn't even do anything, but none of the clarity settings seem to do anything in game mode except for smooth gradation on the LG, and you have to go all the way to high to see any difference, and then you do lose some details. So all right.
Yeah,
So the settings
it's
are all good
definitely
now.
And you tried to show off the super resolution. It's hard to show off, right? Like I can't get it to look anything close to reality creation.
Well, that's what I was saying. I haven't tried the Switch yet, which is the only 1080p source I'm going to have.
Okay.
But that's the only time I've been told that it's even going to do anything is if it's not 4K,
Yeah.
and I have not seen it do anything at all in any 4K content. So I can
Um,
move this a little better.
so it looks like you just got a super chat. I don't know if you answered that one yet. Let's
No,
see.
I'm trying to get back into the chats.
Okay.
A little bit behind. So, are you able to tell us what you got? Yeah, not really. Sorry. um, Yep, check out any of the non-big chains. So Value Electronics, Cleveland Plasma. I always forget the name of the one on the West Coast, and then there's Waltz TV, Green Toe. Check out those places because you can usually get a few $100 off, maybe not have to pay tax, free shipping, cheaper warranties. All right, so I do have a video already about black level. You don't even need Kalman or anything. You can kind of just look at a pattern and adjust by eye. But I will have a video showing how to do a 2-point white balance correction, which is really all you need for these TVs. Or at least that gets you like 90% of the way there, and you don't even need Kalman for that. So let me keep going. Yeah, I'm gonna mess with color in a minute. Let me get caught up on chats here. Yeah, I was gonna when on the Spears and Munzel disc, I can show all white and whatnot. I don't use live color, and honestly, I don't see why people wouldn't just change. Like on the LG, you can change the color gamut from auto to native, and it just kind of changes your colors to the same effect. So, I mean, you could do the same thing on the Sony and not have to touch live color. As far as reality creation, I have not seen anything about that adding input lag. Do you know if Ratings tested that or anything?
Uh,
As far as I know, Ratings is the only place that, because they created their own lag tester that works in 4K 120, because otherwise
right.
there isn't one out there yet.
Yeah, I didn't notice it adding any input lag. I try to mess around
Yeah,
with
me
that,
either.
and I think if you can like visually tell a difference, then it'll be a problem. But if you can't visually tell a difference, it doesn't feel different, then it's probably not an issue. I didn't notice anything.
Yeah. So I had settled on the G1, but then I watch a lot. I actually shot a tour video of my room, and I can show my Blu-ray collection. That video will be coming soon. But I have hundreds of just regular 1080p SDR Blu-rays. I watch a lot of stuff from the 90s and early 2000s. And reality creation on the Sony really makes that stuff look a whole lot better, at least to me personally. And I got a really good deal on the A80J, so I'm going to use that for movies and TV, and then most gaming. But then I'm going to have a 48-inch C1 to replace my monitor that I can also play when I need um, VRR or Dolby Vision or whatever. All right, so it's getting nighttime in Forza. Let's switch over to Destiny, I guess. Um, so reality creation is different from the typical sharpness setting. There is a sharpness setting that adds edge enhancement.
Hmm.
Reality creation analyzes the scene and adjusts contrast around details to make the details stand out more. So while this loads, let me share that screen of that image I showed earlier. So with reality creation, This is on the LG. You cannot make out these numbers for the width of the tires,
Yep.
and you cannot make out really these letters here. But with on the Sony with reality creation, you can see it says February, and you can make out the 285 for the width of the tire.
Yeah.
Um, that's showing what reality creation does. It's not just edge enhancement.
It's basically upscaling, like what it's supposed to be doing is upscaling. So when you do it on a 4K image, it just even enhances it even more. So I don't really know the technical reason of why it does it. There's a whole list of things online about it, but it takes it from a database that they're building over time. So it's deep learning. It's pretty much the best way I can explain it.
Um, yeah, it's so if anyone has an NVIDIA Shield, or if you don't, I recommend it.
Hmm.
It has NVIDIA's AI upscaling, which is very similar to if you've heard DLSS for their gaming with NVIDIA graphics cards.
Yep.
Um, and if you have that combined with reality creation, you can make poor quality streams look almost like a Blu-ray.
Yeah, and it's more than sharpening too. Like it's bringing in more details that are lost. So if you crank up reality creation on a star field, you'll see more stars. Like it's just trying to bring in more details.
For me, both of them panel quality wise are about the same, except this one has a little bit more visible pink tint. You might even be able to see it right now on the clouds in that image, just a little bit. Adrian, thank you for the super chat again. His A80J is 77 inches. Believe it or not, first one had barely any image retention and seemed less bright. This one is better, but with more vertical banding from 5 up to 20. All right, so when you're looking at vertical banding, you really only need to look at 4% and 3%, and it has to be a completely dark room. If you look at, 5, 10, 20, whatever, uh, it's easier to see, but it's not more representative. What really matters is really dark. So look at 4%, 3%, and then you can use your brighter grays or white to look for pink tint and whatnot. As far as the brightness difference, yeah, this one that I currently have is measuring not as high as the previous one out of the box. However, with calibration, it puts it right back in line, and they're very similar. So.
Yep.
Jay Sino, thank you for stopping by. Trying to catch the glare of the sun right here when it sends the shafts down. Too many clouds there right now. All right, so right now the camera is making that look just blown out on both. I can tell you in person they are not.
Mm-hmm.
The A80J is looking a little bit brighter right there in person.
That's interesting.
But the HUD elements are brighter on the LG. So like where it shows the grenade energy and the melee and stuff, that's brighter on the LG.
So when you encounter like a full screen, not full screen brightness, but like brighter scenes that cover more of the screen, say like a sun in a like Assassin's Creed or something, are you noticing less ABL on the G1? Because that's supposed to be something that it is featuring, like a kind of a tamer dimming algorithm for the ABL.
Hang on one second.
All right. Brad, the pink tint on the LG and on really all of the Evo panels, it's only from the side angles. Like you really don't notice it unless you're from the side.
Sorry, there was a toddler tantrum going on.
That's all right.
Um, all right. So what were you asking me?
Oh, so with the ABL for like the sunlight in Assassin's Creed or even like Forza or something, I noticed that sometimes on an OLED you'll see it go dim because of the ABL. Do you see that less with the G1?
All right. So in HDR, I don't see any dimming either way. The only game that I've really seen dimming is Fortnite, but that's not the ABL. That's that image retention prevention.
Right.
Um, so
And I'm not talking about the whole screen per se. I'm just talking about
yeah.
the
So
element
like,
within the
so
screen.
like if I look
So
up right here where it's mostly bright,
yeah,
and uh, right now the G1's actually looking brighter.
yeah,
So the full screen brightness on both measure the same. So the ABL is about the same.
uh huh,
Um, in SDR, where the image retention or logo dimming comes into play, what I have measured is that if the LG, the logo detection is set to low, it will dim by 15%. If it's set to high, it'll dim by 30%. And if it's turned off, it won't dim at all. The Sony seems to max out at 50, but there's no controls for it. So if you're an SDR and you have peak luminance on high and everything's as bright as it can get, it will drop that brightness in half or up to half, but it takes a while to get there. Um, and it's really dependent on what you're playing, the scene, and just a whole bunch of factors. So I find on the A80J, it's best just to have peak luminance at medium instead of high. Then it doesn't dim as much and it's far less noticeable.
yeah. That's interesting.
Um,
The G1 does look brighter now, though. Just from looking at it.
in addition, both right now are reset to out of the box for this comparison, but I do have my settings and stuff saved so I can just reapply them later for the videos that I'm going to be doing. I just figured for right now, just show what they look like out of the box. Let's see.
So, what do you notice about the two TVs on smaller highlights? Which one seems to be brighter for smaller highlights?
It's a toss up.
Okay.
Like when it comes to the brightness, they are so close that it's scene by scene. And like I said, the only time the G1 really has an advantage in brightness is SDR.
Hmm.
But in HDR, highlights, just overall picture level, that kind of stuff, it's gonna they trade blows.
Yeah. Because I noticed when the C1 was next to the A80J when I was testing it that the C1 was a little bit brighter at times than the A80J on brighter windows, on bigger windows, I should say. And on the smaller highlights, it was definitely like the A80J outshined it big time. So I was wondering if that carried over.
All right. Yeah, like I said, it's I just call the brightness a tie between them. Especially like out of the box though, like I said, the 80J maybe not quite as bright, but it's very close.
Yeah.
With both of them calibrated though, then they're pretty much the same.
So right here, like, if you look at the sky, to me, just from watching from a computer, it looks like the left is definitely brighter in the sky. I don't know if that's just because of the camera, but that's what I'm noticing right now. Um,
Yeah, so I mean, if you want, I can adjust the camera where it'll show the detail and not blow it out, but it's going to make all the dark areas look even darker. So this is where I
right.
trying to get a new camera, and I probably going to get that new Sony when it comes out in a week or two or whatever it is.
Yeah. So that's definitely the camera though. That's not how it is.
Yeah, so the dark areas are not this dark as the camera's showing, um, and the detail is not blown out like it's showing. Like, so that's what I've tried to explain about the range. So
Yeah.
if you have an HDR range this wide,
Yeah.
and the camera can only pick up that much, you got
Right.
to just shift it high or low.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the camera really matters.
Yeah. I don't know if you could show off HDR on a live stream anyway.
Yeah. Yes. So as I said earlier, the Sony looks better out of the box as far as calibration goes, especially with shadow detail. But the LG has way more controls, and especially if you use Kalman, then you can do 3D LUTs and all kinds of stuff. And with the Kalman on LG, um, so the LG has more room to improve with calibration than the Sony does. Um, when I first set up the Sony and took those early pictures yesterday, the LG was calibrated with a fixed 9, color calibration, and the Sony was right there with it as far as color. So that tells you how good the color accuracy and stuff is on the Sony out of the box. I hate when I'm scrolling through the chat and then it just jumps all the way to the bottom.
Oh man, you're telling me. I definitely hate that. Also wish that they would just highlight questions. Anything with a question mark in it, just highlight it.
Hey James, congrats on an A80J coming Friday. Only used PlayStation for streaming in the past. Used the native apps, the NVIDIA Shield, or FireCube. Um, I like the Shield for everything that it offers. The FireCube I still need to actually open it and review it. The native apps, for the most part, work well, but there are some people who have issues with like Netflix constantly closing out and stuff on the Google TV. So, personally, if NVIDIA Shield's an option, I would say that. Although the only thing it does not do is it doesn't do HDR on YouTube. But let me show you what you can do. So you can open your inputs on the Sony, and where you have all this stuff, you can actually you can pin apps right here. So you could have, the Shield here, and then just put your YouTube right there, and it'll use the built-in like that.
Nice.
Yeah, the LG on the left is HGIG, and the Sony on the right is gradation preferred.
Yeah, Preston, that's right. It is pretty much splitting hairs with the two. They're both great TVs.
Yeah, so
Um,
now I'm having them side by side. I have completely changed what I had in my head of what I thought the difference was. I thought they were a couple of points different. Now I'm saying they're 99.5% the same.
yeah, that makes sense.
So let me load up Fortnite in SDR, and as I go through stuff, we'll see if it dims.
Yeah,
And I can show that, a lot of people think that you have to sit there and stare at the sun because of the video I did that just for consistency. But
right.
no, I can play through a game of Fortnite and watch
Yeah,
it dim as I'm playing.
yeah. No, I noticed that too. It starts to dim
Yeah.
down. Like it's something to do with the HUD elements, right? And it being
Yeah,
on
when it
screen for a
so
while.
like I could enable the dimming on the LG and show it do the same thing, but I have it disabled so that way I can just show that it's not doing it.
Right.
But what it does is it detects a lot of static images for 1 minute, then it's going to start cutting brightness by like a nit or two every couple seconds. Like I said, until it hits that cap, which I measured on the Sony to be 50%, and then the LG it's either 15 or 30 depending on your setting, or it doesn't dim if you have it off.
Yep.
Let's see what SDR settings we have defaulted to.
Man, you got all the pro players skins, huh?
I gotta turn the camera. All right, so gamma setting on the Sony of 0 for the most part is like 2.2, and -2 for the most part is like 2.4.
Yeah, I also see a lot of people changing the sharpness to 0 on a Sony. Don't do that.
Yeah, leave it at 50. So peak luminance, like I said, I'm gonna leave actually to show the dimming. I'm gonna put it at high. Typically, I would have it at medium or even low, and I guess I can go ahead and explain that really quickly. So let me pull out my notepad with my numbers. If you have peak luminance on the Sony at low, At a full screen window, it's 148 nits with the brightness up here maxed out. And then at a 10%, it's 168. That's only a difference of 20. And if you put it to medium, the full screen stays this exact same at 148. It's only the 10% window that gets brighter. So that means your ABL is going to be far more noticeable in medium than if you just leave it at low. If you leave it at low, you only have a 20 nit difference between a small window and the full screen. So you essentially would not notice any ABL.
Nice. I think what chat wants to know is when are you gonna buy that Ariana Grande skin?
No. Let me look over here. All right, so let's keep going through here. So color. All right, so real quick, let's just see if we turn live color up, and there's high. So I don't know how much the camera is going to pick up at that distance.
Yeah, I don't see any change.
Yeah. So like I was saying earlier, what I think most people would want to do instead. No, we're not going to force BT 2020.
Definitely not. But you can see what it does. It's not good.
Yeah. So see, this is where, like, I don't know which one would be native. Magician, if you're still here, which one would technically be considered native on the Sony? Is it DCI? But I mean, the BT 2020, you just see that immediate red shift.
Yeah. If
But
you're a
the
fan
other
of
ones aren't
lobster
that bad.
people, then like BT 2020 is the way to go if you want lobster people. But that's a no go for most people.
And now let me switch over to this LG. Let's make sure the settings are reset over here.
Man, I love that game optimizer. This is so cool looking. It looks just so clean.
That's what I was saying earlier. Sony needs to work with their PlayStation department.
Yeah. That'll never happen.
All right, yeah, so I actually got to reset the game mode over here. But yeah, so if you, on the LG, change the color gamut just from auto to native, you're going to pretty much get that live color effect pretty much just by doing that. And now if you do that on a Samsung, everything's going to go neon and look horrible. The LG only extends it a little bit. And again, it's not accurate. So this is not for accurate. This is just if you want you're playing Fortnite and you just want more color, you could do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it looks just so unrealistic on the Samsung when you go to native. And with contrast enhancer, it's 10 times worse.
All right, yeah. So everything here is good. And then remember that the LG does not offer, dang it, adjustment of peak brightness when you are in gaming. So let me reset this back to its defaults. However, that said, because you can disable the dimming, it actually ends up being brighter in SDR once the dimming takes place.
Yeah, and I noticed that if the dimming occurs in HDR games, it's so much less than SDR games. Like SDR games, definitely you can see it to a big effect. But like HDR games and sports games, I noticed it a little bit, but it wasn't dramatic like it is in a game like this.
Yeah, so right now, the LG, again, does not have a peak brightness adjustment in SDR gaming, while the Sony is on peak luminance high. So there should be like 150 nit difference. And they really don't look that much different. And hopefully no one's going to kill me before, dimming starts kicking in. But again, I could just be running and playing. It's not like I could just be doing this and it will still dim, because what it's doing is after a minute of seeing those static elements on the screen, then it's going to kick in the dimming on it.
Yeah. And just looking at a sky or a sun or something, it's just going to accelerate it. But
I see. I did that because I had the meter pointed, and I was just trying to keep it so that the dynamic weather wasn't affecting anything and all of that.
Right.
All right. Wow, I missed a lot of chats. So hold on.
I've been looking. I haven't seen any too many questions pop up.
Haha, Kyle, Chroma Rush. Yep, and I got it with Rampage and Subsistence as well. So been using that since I got it. All right, Jonathan, thank you for the super chat. Highly recommend getting G1 professionally calibrated. Magician did mine last week, and even my wife was impressed. Like looking out a sexy window. Yes, he did share that information and that he was getting with the measurements, and I believe he said he got over 900 nits on yours. So congrats on that. Mark, you can go to the AVS forum, and there's a link to the certified calibrators and how to get a hold of them. Or I believe you can also go to the ISF website and get that information there as well. Also, in the next few days, I'm going to be picking up a laptop so that I can be mobile with calibrations. So, not certified, but working on it, and will be massively cheaper than anyone who is certified because of that fact. Let's see. Oh my God, I just had a question. There it is. Okay. Magician or Classy in Canada, tough to find a calibrator outside of Best Buy. Are these legit or small stuff? Yeah, the Best Buy stuff isn't worth it.
You can't do it anymore either. So.
Well, in Canada, I think they are, and I think certain locations are still doing it through Magnolia or whatever they changed Magnolia to. Bust out some 90s. All right, I'm going to be done with the gaming here soon. I still got to switch over to the Nintendo Switch, and then we'll be done with the gaming and move on to other kinds of content. So this stream is going to be a while because I want to really test and really do everything that everyone wants, but there's no way I could fit all of that into a 15-minute video or even a couple of 15-minute videos. So I want to have this on there to really go in depth on a bunch of stuff, and then just touch on highlights in the videos that'll be coming. Okay. You try to. Yep. All right. Yep. Next season should have crossplay. Although they did say there's a issue that came up with chat, so not going to be able to voice chat with the crossplay. It kind of sucks.
Yeah, that does suck. I guess there's Discord for that.
There's also the Xbox party or the Xbox app. You can join parties on your phone.
Oh yeah, yep.
So, all right. I think I'm all caught up on questions. Looks like it. Now let me turn around. I don't know how well the camera picks it up, but the character model and the grass around the character model are noticeably dimmer on the A80J, even though its peak luminance is set to high. And I'm getting shot.
When you moved, did you see any brightness come back or anything, or no?
Not really. It's roughly the same, and I can also tell by looking at the HUD elements that the HUD elements are much dimmer right now on the Sony than on the LG.
Huh.
Like right now they're pretty close, but the Sony should be shining a lot brighter with the peak luminance on high.
Yeah.
So what I had noticed is that it'll dim and then kind of go back up and dim again, but it doesn't go back up all the way until like there's a full reset. So you change the input on the TV or do something like that to trigger it to, if I can stay alive long enough.
You better not let that bot kill you. I think it's a bot. I don't know. I think you would have already died already if it wasn't a bot. So if you mess with the peak luminance right now, would you be able to bring it back or no?
The surefire way that I've done in the past was change input and change back.
That is not a bot. That is not a bot. I don't know what he's doing though. Maybe it is a bot.
Just give me 1 more minute. God dang it.
What the heck?
But there. Now can you see how the Sony looked brighter, like especially around where that potion was? Like just
Yeah.
doing that to reset it. Now the Sony's back to being brighter again.
Mm-hmm. So you did that just by bringing the menu up?
I switched over to a different input and switched back.
Oh, okay.
So that eliminated whatever dimming had taken place.
Gotcha. Wow. 114 people here. It's crazy.
Yeah.
117. Dang.
Yeah, I was expecting like maybe
You didn't
20 or
plan it.
30 because it was last minute.
Yeah. That's awesome.
See, like right here at this screen, the Sony is super bright, but also kind of washed out from having all that brightness with the peak luminance up high.
Huh.
Oh wait, shoot. I didn't even have it on high. It was on medium, and we could see the difference in dimming.
Yeah.
I could have sworn I left it on high. But anyway, yeah. So even at medium, there was some dimming that we saw. And if it was on high, you would see it a whole lot more. So now that it's on high, let's go back into one more game.
Dude, I swore it was on
I
high
swore
too.
at I swore I set it to high. I don't know what happened there.
Did it like switch
But
back when you changed the input?
no, I
Okay.
must have just like doing too many things at once. But
Huh.
yeah, I mean, if we could see a little bit of dimming there, I was wondering like it should have been more noticeable, especially by the camera. Now you can certainly see the difference in the brightness, and it should be easier for the
Yeah.
camera to show. The 2.1 splitter, it comes tomorrow, and I'm going to be running the PlayStation and the Series X through it to the Sony and see if like I can still do Dolby Vision or 4K 120, all that kind of stuff, with both of the sources being HDMI 2.1.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if you could do Dolby Vision with it. I know I was able to get it working on Apple TV with Dolby Vision, no problem.
Mhm.
But that's, a different kind of thing.
Yeah,
What I
and
did
then
like about the switcher though was that whenever I was in Dolby Vision on the Apple TV and I switched back to the Xbox with no Dolby Vision, it didn't like have any problems at all. So I didn't have to change any of the enhanced format or anything like that. So I thought that was cool.
David, no. The way SDR and HDR are different is HDR technically lives in the SDR space range. It just has a higher ceiling for bright areas. So it makes it basically impossible to notice in HDR. At least I haven't seen it in HDR.
Yeah, it's really rare.
Where's a good spot?
But people say they see the dimming a lot in SDR, like soccer matches and stuff. That's something I heard.
Yeah, and I've seen people say like MLB The Show has dimming, and Dragon Ball Fighters, which I just rebought, so I
Yeah,
can test that.
I tested MLB The Show for like a whole 8 innings, and I didn't feel like there was any dimming at all. So I don't know. I was trying to test that part too.
And remember, people, that the camera right now, I try to set it in the middle of the range of what I'm seeing. So if dark areas are going to look a little darker than they actually are, bright areas are going to look kind of bloomy and not detailed, even though they are. So give me a couple weeks, and hopefully I'll have a new camera. All right, so now I'm going to try and stick around over here and hopefully not run into anybody. So, but I can already tell. I mean, we saw when I switched it to high how much brighter it was, easily noticeable. Right now, the Sony's still a little bit brighter, but I can definitely tell the dimming has started, because it's not as bright as it was compared to the G1. And I've fully tested the G1 with its logo dimming turned off. It does not drop at all. I've played through multiple matches, cannot get it to dim even a single bit. Oh my god, really? All right. But all right, let's go over to the Nintendo Switch. See if we can see reality creation versus super resolution.
What games you got on the Switch?
Whatever is in it right now.
Okay.
I don't play it enough.
Dang. Such a good
I
system.
think it's Mario Kart.
Oh, that's good.
All right. Where's my remote?
And if you're wondering why we're showing mostly gaming, it's because it's hard to show anything other than gaming. It is legit like hard to show. Other than like the Spirits of Munsell disc and maybe some YouTube demos, that's the only thing we could show. So that picture threw me off so much when I saw it. I was like, wow, you got like a giant TV next to, I thought what it was a 77 inch.
All right, hang on. I'm back. I had to throw this up while I was getting the Switch ready.
Yeah.
All right, so like in this image, again, G1's here, Sony's there. If you look at like in here, the stitching on the leather,
Yeah.
like that to me is a big difference.
Yeah. That's reality creation right there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's
And
what
then
separates the
this
TVs.
dial.
Yep. So much clearer. Kirby. So can you notice the upscaling just right off the bat? Like, I know that's something that I noticed like right away.
Let's see what I can do here to try and make anything noticeable. First, let's turn off reality creation. All right. How do I want to do this? Should I pull the camera into one each or just leave it like this? Excuse me, and see if we can see anything.
I don't know.
First, let's see if the LG has any noticeable difference.
Okay.
All right, I'm sitting so close to the LG, like right in here. Like I can make out so many jaggies, so I'll be able to see easily if there's any change.
Right. I noticed it in text a lot that it was just clear.
All right, so we're on the G1.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, sharpness is at 0, which I know isn't technically supposed to work with it this way.
Gotcha.
But I just want to see.
All right.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, I didn't
So
notice
let's
anything
turn
either.
sharpness up.
Okay. So they're tied together?
That's what I've heard.
Okay.
All right, so I'm as high as 20 on the sharpness. Let's see at what point we get too many shimmering objects or whatever.
All right, started to see it there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say over 30 it gets bad.
Yeah.
So I'll go as high as 25 now. Okay, it did something. So
Okay.
yes, you need a 1080 or a non 4K source with sharpness turned up for
Uh-huh.
super resolution to do something.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can pull the camera or zoom it in real quick and I can show you a little better.
So what would you say it's doing? Would you say it's enhancing the sharpness more, or would you say it's doing something
Yeah, let me see if
more
I can
of
get it to
just
pick this up.
upscaling?
So I was looking at that spot right there. Let me
Yeah.
adjust focus.
Okay.
And then I got to back it up a little bit. That's a trick. If you see those swirls or whatever, after you've hit focus, just zoom it back out a little bit and it clears it up and it stays focused.
Oh, snap. All right.
All right. So look at this ring around this object right here. You can kind of see some jaggies like on the side of its face. It's a
Okay,
statue,
yeah.
but whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't
Huh.
know if this stream's going to pick that up, but it's a minor effect.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see anything changing.
It's really minor. Like reality creation, you can really see it as you do stuff. But
Yeah.
let me try zooming in a little more.
That's pretty clear.
All right. So check right here along the eye.
Uh-huh.
If I come down to high. Now, did you see a change?
Nope. I don't see nothing.
Yeah, if you focus really hard right around here, I can see a little bit of a change.
Okay. Well, I don't. Does chat, do you see it? If you see it, let me know.
Let me see if I can see any other areas where it's changing.
It's also probably really hard to see because it's like over a 720p bit rate.
Yeah, this
stream.
archway,
Not bit
that
rate,
archway back there is getting
resolution.
slightly sharper. Yeah, it's
That's not why I laughed. I laughed at something in chat. But
yeah, I'm just saying this is not a competing setting to reality creation. It's doing something here, but it's only in sub 4K content, and it's very, very small.
I see that. See, but if you did the same thing with reality creation, you'd be able to pick it up on camera.
Yeah, I'll zoom over on reality creation in a second. Let's see if we can see anything here. There, maybe did you see that? The little jaggies on this thing? Just kind of change a little bit. Off.
Okay, a little bit.
High. But I mean, like, I'm going straight from off to high.
Yeah. It's a little bit, but see, like when you do it with reality creation, it almost seems like you're adding some sort of anti-aliasing to it.
Yeah, and it's like if I was sitting on the couch 7 feet away, I don't think I would see this.
Yeah,
like I am right here and barely seeing it.
Yep. That's a really good camera angle you got going. Like, wow, it's clear. I don't know how you pulled that off.
And like I said, you touch the screen, you hit autofocus when you're zoomed in, and you get those swirls, and you just back it up just a tiny notch.
Yeah, I think the G85 is better than the GX85. I'm convinced.
Yeah. See there, I didn't even have to touch the focus, and it stayed in focus as I backed it up.
Yeah.
And it's all on manual. All right, so I'm gonna put it over by the Sony now.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna be able to reach it because it's so far away. Actually, my power cable for the camera can only go so far.
Oh no. And reality creation is off right now, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, that's around the same area.
With everything off, do you notice less jaggies on that statue for the Sony?
I'm sitting too far away to give it a fair shot,
Okay.
but
Just zoomed
probably.
in, it looks like it. So.
All right. So I'm not gonna be able to fit it in frame, but I'm gonna switch over to reality creation just a second.
Hmm.
All right. Currently, it's off. Now it's on
Gotcha.
auto.
Okay. Yeah, I could see it.
All right. Now I'm gonna do manual 30. So off,
Mm-hmm.
manual 30. I see the arm of that chair sharpening up quite a bit.
Yep.
Off,
Wow.
manual 30. Off. Look at the star on that
On the
statue.
statue? Yeah.
Off, manual 30.
Oh, I see that.
Mhm.
What happens when you crank it up all the way?
I find after about 35, then you do start to get some artifacts.
Yeah.
So if I turn it up,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I start to see it like really
Mhm.
sharpening. But honestly, sometimes that effect in a game looks cool for
All right,
some
so right there, that's 50.
yeah.
That's 35. That's about as high as like I said, I think after 35, you get too much artifacts.
Yeah.
And then that's minimum.
Hmm.
But I mean, you see what I mean? Like I can just sit here and just go back and forth, left and right, and you just see it making changes as you go
You
through it.
see the details. Like even further away, you see the details. Um and I think that's such a key point with the reality
It's
creation.
really right there, so you can go by. All right, now if I go from manual 30 to auto, so it got a little blurrier. So auto is doing less than 30 right now.
Yeah. Look at the word on the right. What are we looking at?
Yeah.
What word?
All right, so in game
Oh, wood.
mode,
Okay.
the noise reduction settings are disabled.
I mean, I can't read.
So in game mode, you can do the reality creation, you can do smooth gradation,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have your sharpness. So if I turn right now, sharpness at 50. If I start
Yeah.
turning that up, that's where you get that nasty edge enhancement.
Right. Yeah, you don't want that.
And if I turn it down, then everything just starts to blur.
Mm-hmm. That's why you keep it at 50. That's the default, and that's like
Yep.
basically that's their zero. So
Yep. All right. While it's zoomed in, I'm going to turn on live color. So right now it's off. That's low, medium, high,
okay.
medium, low, off.
Yeah. It seems to be. It does a good job of just getting the stuff that needs to be saturated. It doesn't seem to touch anything else. It's just touching like the greens and the blues.
Let's see. Black adjust is off,
What's your opinion on black
low,
adjust?
medium, and high. So you can see quite a bit of change right there in the image. I don't use it,
You don't use
but
it?
I'm just showing it for people that would.
Okay.
So now medium, low, off.
So is there a reason why you wouldn't use black adjust?
Because the TV already does black handling so well that to me it just seems like it's gonna hurt the image.
Right. I just noticed on SDR like TV shows, it made it look a little bit better. But
I mean, if you want a little bit of that extra contrast and you want to crush out some stuff,
yeah.
then yeah, if you like that look, that's what it's for.
Hmm.
All right, so now I'm gonna set. Actually, all right, so here's advanced contrast enhancer, still over on the Sony. So look to the right. It's
Yep.
off,
Yep.
low, medium,
Uh huh.
high.
Yeah. So I noticed that the advanced contrast enhancer on the Sony is way different than contrast enhancer on the Samsung TV. Like I actually like it on the Sony TVs. I hate it on the Samsung TVs. Did you feel the same way or?
I couldn't. I didn't use it at all on the Samsung. I also don't use it on this, but the one place where I did use it was on the LG QNED.
Mhm.
It did help that average picture level get brighter on the QNED.
Yeah. So I like it on low for Sony. I don't mind it on low at all. I think it helps with SDR games a lot.
Mm. All right, so for this little bit of comparison, I'm gonna have reality creation on 30 on the Sony, and I'm gonna put super resolution on high with the sharpness at 25 on the LG.
Hmm. And contrast enhancer is locked out on the LG as well, right? For game mode, if I remember correctly.
One sec. All right, so the LG actually does give you noise control.
Yep.
Let me see if I see it do anything. Yeah, no.
No. Yeah, I didn't get anything from it either when I tried it.
Hey. Sorry, the dog just hit the power cord.
Oh no.
Puppy. Here, let me put up an image. You can talk about why I fixed that.
All right.
Which one? Go with this one. Get a puppy, they said.
I see a little dude under there. Oh, that looks like it's really stretched out. But I see what it is. Okay, let's see. Top one is brighter on the rims. It's a hard image to side by side. I do like the top a lot better though. I don't know which one is the top, but I'm gonna guess the top is the A80J. Or no, actually maybe it's the G1. Yeah, I think it's the G1.
How can she be into a, Her and Ford were fighting over the power strips. So one of them hit it. Hey, Daddy kicking you out of the living room. Daddy kicking you
So
out of the living room.
let's see. Is anybody in chat got any questions?
Daddy kicking you out? So Daddy said, I don't want to kick out Daddy. See, I don't want to be kicked out. See, I won't press it again. She won't press it again, Daddy. She'll be a puppy.
Reality creation is great in 4K, but the SDR stuff didn't change much. It actually does change a lot. The most noticeable, I think, reality creation is for the Nintendo Switch, like he was demonstrating there, which is going to be mostly SDR content.
Watch out.
Well, it is all SDR content. There's no HDR for Nintendo Switch.
All right, I'm back.
So is the top one the G1?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
whenever they're vertical like this, the G1 was up high.
All right, so I like the top one a lot better. I don't know why. I think it's just, it seems like it's bringing out highlights more. But again, that could be the camera.
All right, so this was an SDR YouTube image. So yes,
Okay.
SDR on the G1. So it is a bit brighter. But like I said, I did try to match them as far as overall. picture brightness.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes scene by scene to which one's brighter. But yeah, right
Yeah.
there, like the glints on the headlights and stuff were brighter.
Yeah. Oh, and just the dirt too and everything.
Yeah, so it took me a minute because she didn't unplug the power cord. I tried to push it back in, like, why is it not working? She hit the button on the power strip.
Oh, okay.
So,
Gotcha.
uh,
I see it down there.
all right. So anything else before I start switching over to like Spears and Munzel disc or some other kind of content?
Um,
Um,
if you go to like the switch menu and you see all the text and stuff, do you notice a difference in the way that's upscaled? Is anything clearer to you? Hmm. Let's see. It's really hard to tell on camera. I just know that when
yeah,
I
it's
compared them side by side, it just seemed like the A80J was clear.
actually I can see the line at the bottom
Yeah.
is more jagged right
Oh,
there.
I see that actually on camera. Huh. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty clear on camera. Crazy
She's
puppy.
going crazy. Michael, should the both of them be calibrated D65 white point? No. No. I don't know. There's a long discussion to be had about that, but D65 on these does not look like what D65 is supposed to look like. I am when I do my calibration settings, and I have that in the videos that'll be coming up. I'm going to be using D-Nice's white point, but you need to have at least a i1 Pro 2 Spectro to profile the meter for that white point to work. All right, did I miss anything while everything was going on? Yes, I did. Hey, Max, thank you for the super chat. So we're about an hour and a half in, still plenty more to go. So this is running pretty long, but like I said earlier, there's quite a bit of stuff to check between these, and I know these compete very well with each other. So I'm trying to get into some of the more niche stuff that people are interested in with these two before I cut it down into some short videos.
Yep. Good to see Max. Good to see Max. Always great to see him.
I don't think I missed anything above that. See someone talk about the Shield. I got to put that up.
Yeah.
Shield also has good AI upscaling. How does it compare? So one of my plans is to show or to have a video of the AI upscaling of the Shield combined with reality creation to show how they work well with each other. So keep an eye out for that. But I think they work very well together.
What if you tried out the Shield on the G1 and then used a reality creation on the A80J?
Yeah, I can switch over to the Shield now if I can find the remote.
I guess that would be hard to do because you would have to have two different sources hooked up. But
No, the Shield's going through the splitter, so I'm going to put the Shield up.
right, but
And
what I was saying was like you have the Shield just hooked up to the G1 and then have a different source on the A80J with reality creation and see how that compares.
Oh, I thought you meant show how
Nah,
the reality creation works with it.
but you could do that too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I got so many freaking remotes. It's driving me crazy. All right, let me put up another picture. Oh shoot. Let me figure out something to put on. Here, let's look at this one. Share screen.
I like how the LGs show what mode it's in. Like when it goes into Dolby Vision, it shows the logo. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So on the Sony, there is the display button on the remote, which kind of does that, but it doesn't seem to work with apps, like the built-in apps, because then it just displays the information for those.
Yeah.
Brad Smith, thank you for the super sticker. Ninjishin's going to have a D65 alternate white point video coming up, so keep an eye out for that. Oh wait, or you have one? Or you have? Okay, no, you have one. I thought you had said previously you were also going to do more on that. Which is best for watching ice hockey? Well, the G1, because you can disable the dimming. Yep. Yeah. So if you're interested in white points, go check out Ninjishin's channel. Yeah, I have a Raspberry Pi generator as well, and I'm actually going to be getting the Color Space Zero and moving over towards that. As with Sony, it does everything you need. It's very affordable compared to Kalman, and should give you some better results probably. Puppy. KG, are you muted?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Don't. Stop. The puppy and the cat want to fight over that power strip again.
Oh no. They're trying to take you down.
Hey, stop.
What would be best for live sports being upconverted from cable? It's tough. Like Classy was saying, the G1 is going to be able to disable the logo dimming. So if you don't want those scoreboards and everything to dim your TV down, then the G1 is going to be better for that. So that's where I would go with that. As far as being upconverted, it might give you a better looking image on the Sony, but you're going to run into the dimming potentially.
All right, so I'm on the Shield. Let's see what the TV settings are really quickly. Custom. Yeah, because it's going through the receiver, ALLM is not working even on the LG, so I got to switch out of game mode.
Yeah.
I do got to say I like the Sony remote more. Far
Yes,
less
so do I.
accidental presses.
Yeah. I actually don't know what they did to the LG remote, but it feels so much different than the C7 did. It just feels so clicky, and I feel like I always double click more. That's a big problem for me. But oh well. Like, you hear how loud it is? It's just so freaking loud.
All right, let's see how well this works. So on the Shield, you go to AI upscaling. So right now it's active as enhanced, and it's on medium, which is default.
Mm-hmm.
And if I press basic, then that's just normal upscaling.
Okay.
And then on the Sony, So reality creation's at auto on the Sony.
Gotcha.
Now if I go up to AI enhanced again, and then I can put it into demo mode. So that way I can just hit the button to switch from basic to enhanced. Now I think I'm going to have to zoom in the camera to show what it's doing.
Can you focus it a bit different? I think you had it a little more in focus just a second ago.
All right, now I'm using this because it's I don't even know if it's 720p. It's Hulu streaming, and it's a show from the 90s, so the quality is very low, but I still like the show. So right now it's on basic, which means no AI upscaling, and I'm going to click it and turn it on. And yeah, I don't know if it's going to pick up. But this is on the Sony with reality creation.
Okay.
Let me play it for a second and see if it switches to a different resolution. Maybe it gets a little sharper.
So it has that slider?
Yeah, so the left would be basic and the right would be with the AI upscaling.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if it's picking it up, but it's a very subtle effect. And that's why I like it with the reality creation, because they work together just very subtly to enhance it. So like you can see.
Is it adding lines to his nose?
Where?
Or like crosshatches to his nose? I don't know.
Maybe no, it might be the camera.
Might be the camera.
All right. Look at the building just next to his neck, right there.
Okay.
Do you see the change right there?
Yeah, I do.
So like I said, it's very, very subtle, but in person, combined with reality creation, which is on auto right now. But now if I switch over to the LG, you'll probably see it make more of an effect. But when the reality creation is combined, then it combines to make an even more effect.
Okay.
And yeah, I know the skin tones are really red, but that's just the way that it's picking it up right now. I didn't adjust the white balance on the camera.
Yeah.
All right, so now on the LG, like
I noticed the bush. Like if you focus on the bush on the very left, I can notice that getting clearer. And the building.
So you see more of an effect from the AI upscaling on the LG because it doesn't have anything helping its image.
Right.
Like to me, that building, like the windows on that building, just gets clearer.
Yeah, everything seems to get clearer.
But like I said, you get that plus that just little tiny subtle extra from the reality creation on the Sony, and that's what really makes older stuff like this just that much better to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, just the upscaling in general on the Sony is just great. So it would definitely have the edge going to the Sony for older content.
Yeah, and like I said, that's what I watch the most, so that's why I wanted to get it and then just get
Yeah,
the smaller LG for gaming.
for sure.
I gotta take it out of the demo mode. I've been having issues with the Dolby Vision coming um, through the receiver when it's being split. But
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can get Dolby Vision to show up so I can show something I found interesting. Griffin, thank you for the super sticker. Did I miss anything else?
I think that an external device is a must for Sony because a lot of the onboard streaming apps kind of crash sometimes. Not only that, there's
Mm-hmm.
also some problems with the Dolby Vision. I noticed that Dolby Vision Bright just looked completely different from like Apple TV Dolby Vision Bright. So I don't know what was going on with that. Might have just been a bug that was in the Netflix app, but I definitely recommend an external streaming device if you're getting a Sony TV.
I'm going to put something else on the screen while I look for something Dolby Vision to show.
All right.
All right, here. So here's it's from Sweet Tooth on Netflix, Dolby Vision, and very dark scene with lots of little bright highlights.
Mm-hmm.
And the LG's on top again.
Okay. Yeah. I like the G1 still. I don't know if it's just the angle that the G1 is in or the position that it's in. I don't notice a huge difference though.
Yeah, they were similar. But again, at this point,
Does seem
this
like they.
capture, the G1 is calibrated
Yeah.
and the A80J is not.
Yeah. It
So
does seem
that
like the lights
calibration does
are
boost a little bit.
the lights are a little dimmer on the A80J on the string lights.
All
Huh.
right.
Did you watch this show yet? Is it good?
Yeah, I watched all the way through it. I like it.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So now what I want to show, I can get a better angle.
I watched Outer Banks season 2 yesterday. It was really good. I recommend that show to everybody. Outer Banks.
So in Dolby Vision on LG, it's still in game mode. Hang on.
It's all good.
You have Cinema and Cinema Home, and the way that works, Cinema is your accurate mode,
Mm-hmm.
and then Cinema Home is essentially like having dynamic tone mapping turned on in HDR.
Yep. So Cinema Home, Dolby Vision Bright, and Cinema's Dolby Vision Dark.
Let's see. Yeah, and there's no tone mapping setting when you're in Dolby Vision on
Right.
the LG. So you're basically limited to accurate or brighter than accurate by a fairly substantial margin. And by brighter, I mean average picture level brightness, not highlight brightness.
Yeah.
So it lifts the entire range to be inaccurate.
So it does what it does, like with the HDR tone mapping for games, like where it
Yeah.
just lifts the whole picture.
Yeah, or even just if you're in HDR10 and you turn HDR tone mapping on, the dynamic tone mapping, It's basically the same effect.
Gotcha.
What's nice with the Sony is you have Dolby Vision Bright and Dolby Vision Dark,
Yep.
basically the same thing.
And you have the Netflix calibrated mode. Did you mess with that at all?
No,
No. I like
but
that a
what
lot
the
on SDR stuff that I watched.
Sony gives you is an HDR tone mapping setting within those two modes. So you technically have 6 different brightness settings for Dolby Vision with the Sony.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
technically, you're supposed to use Dolby Vision Dark with tone mapping turned off, and
Right.
that's the accurate. That's basically like cinema on the LG.
Yep.
If you turn on gradation, it darkens it a little bit,
Hmm.
and if you turn on brightness, then it's brighter than the curve is supposed to be.
Gotcha.
So Dolby Vision Dark with brightness preferred on makes it about not quite as bright as Cinema Home on the LG.
Uh-huh.
But if you go into Dolby Vision Bright, then you're not. It's similar to dark with brightness preferred, um, but you can go into Dolby Vision Bright, which with tone mapping off, like I said, it's about what the LG is.
Right.
You can put on gradation, which is going to darken it a bit, but it's still brighter than if it was in the accurate Dolby Dark with tone mapping turned off. So if
Yeah.
you find it too dark in its accurate mode and you only want a little bit extra, then you can go into bright and turn on gradation, which is going to darken it closer, so it's just barely brighter than accurate. And then if you really need a lot of brightness, then you can go to brightness preferred,
Yep.
and then that's going to really brighten it up. So again, the accurate setting would be dark tone mapping off, but if you just want a little bit extra, which you can't do on the LG, you can go to Dolby Vision Bright and then turn on gradation preferred, and then it's just that little bit extra.
Yep.
And when it comes to both of these being default white points right now in Dolby Vision, the Sony white point is a little greener, and the LG is more of like a mix of the red and the blue compared to the Sony, with them again with their default white points in Dolby Vision. Where are we? All right, in addition, properly calibrated as I did for Jonathan, Cinema Home isn't going to look blown out. It's pretty bad out of the box. Yeah, so when you're getting calibration done, you can change this stuff. It's just if you're not getting a calibration, you pretty much have the darker, more accurate setting on LG, and then you have the too bright setting. With the Sony, you essentially have 6 different levels of brightness settings for Dolby Vision. To me, I think that actually is something that's kind of important, and I haven't heard anyone else mention that ever. Because I mean, again, not everyone wants accurate, and actually, it seems like very few people want accurate. But I know a lot of people also don't want to push things too far and overblow everything or make things way too far out of accurate. So that's why, like, I think the Dolby Vision Bright mode with gradation looks really good, especially in some of the darker content.
Yeah, I watched a couple of shows like that, and I found that to be true.
Brad Smith. They're extremely similar. It's the clarity difference, sharpness difference in older content on the Sony with reality creation, which is most of what I watch. Like I said, I'll have a tour video soon, and my bookshelf is full of hundreds of Blu-rays, and then I have hundreds more on my computer. And I even stream older stuff, like I've shown, still watching through Smallville. So when it comes to 90s older stuff, 2000s, before everything got all digital and pristine and 4K, the Sony handles that stuff better. And I also got for a substantially different price, so that made it where I could get the Sony A80J and a 48C1 for nearly the same cost of the G1.
Yep.
However, if you just want one TV and you play games, even not even a lot, but a decent amount, if the gaming matters to you at all or the warranty matters to you at all, and they're similar in price, the G1 really is a very well balanced TV that handles so many things, and it's so close. Like, again, I said earlier, 99.5% the same. So there's 0.5% difference, I think, in the image quality between them. Brightness, they trade blows. They're essentially tied. Color, they're tied. The LG just could use some help with calibration, where the Sony comes, where I think more people will be happy with it out of the box, not needing a calibration. What else? So just I think the main discerning factor between these two is going to be price, and if they're close enough that you want to pay the extra for the G1 for gaming features or the warranty.
Yep. Price, and it depends on what you do, right? Like you said, if you're gaming, like it's really hard to not go with the LG for that. But if you watch a lot of older shows like you do, like I can see why you chose the Sony, because reality creation is really that difference maker. The processing is kind of what separates these TVs and the clearness in general. But overall, like it's very much nitpicking what we do when we were comparing these two TVs, because they both look fantastic. And I think that it just depends on what you do. If you're a gamer, you get one, or if you're a movie watcher only, then get the Sony. It's not even close.
See, right there, I disagree. I wouldn't. I say they are very close. It's just you get that hairline more extra on the Sony when it comes to movies and TV, but you get a whole lot extra when it comes to gaming, at least currently, until Sony gets some VRR going.
Yeah, so I should clear that up and say, like, it's not even close for me personally. Like, I love that the way the Sony looks with movies, and I don't like this film grain that you see a lot in some of the movies. I do feel like it's brought out more on the LG, and that's why I think if you're
Yep.
watching a lot of movies, you're definitely gonna like the Sony more if you're not a fan of that film grain. But I get it. A lot of people are liking just the way the creator's intent is. So yeah, I should clear that up and say.
Yeah, and see, like so here's Twilight. It's on Netflix. It's just 1080 maybe, SDR. A lot of grain in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And on the if I'm sitting here at normal viewing distance, the Sony really handles this kind of stuff better. Like this is where you might stretch that difference a little bit more in the favor of the Sony, is stuff with a lot of grain. Because again, I can put the noise settings on the LG on high or auto on both of them, and I never see it do anything. Nothing.
Yeah.
You do that stuff on the Sony, you at least see some effect. And really, I don't even like right now. It's on auto on the Sony, and I don't know if the camera's picking it up. But if you look at her cheek, I know there's some color differences right now because of they're both at their factory white points. But if you can try to look past the color and just look at the cheek and the detail from the Sony just clearing up some of that noise. Also the shadow detail. Let me brighten up the camera.
And this is in 1080p, right? So this is upscaling as well.
Yeah, it's
so you're
either
seeing
1080 or
upscaling at
720,
work.
whatever Netflix is
Yeah.
doing it at.
Right. It's probably just a Blu-ray rip.
There, so I brightened it up a little bit. And I don't know if you can tell, but you can see more detail in the hair on the Sony from the better shadows out of the box.
Yep.
Let me see if there's any questions or anything. When calibrating, how do you adjust shadow detail with Kalman? I see in videos you can adjust at the end. Yeah, so I noticed that too. Last year at the last page, there was a shadow detail thing at the bottom. This year they removed it, but only from there. And then Justin showed me there's how to get to it, but maybe have him explain it because without showing you, it's kind of hard to explain. Um, but it does still have that option. Preston, no, like an magician said here, answered you. I'm gonna have a 48C1 as well. And actually, to correct that, I'm still undecided if I'm gonna get a 48C1 or a 55G1 because the price difference. It depends if the G1 gets a price drop soon. I want the 5-year warranty if it's gonna be a monitor. So I'm gonna try and get the 55G1 if I can fit it on this wall. But depending on price, I may just get the 48C1 with a Best Buy warranty. So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens there.
and you can wait too. You can afford to wait a little bit for the
Oh yeah,
prices to drop. So there's
yeah.
no
I mean, I'm,
rush.
I'm. It'll probably be a few months before I actually get it, but I'll
I'm
get it
thinking of
soon.
I'm thinking about getting the 49-inch G9 Neo monitor. It's kind of crazy, but
Eh,
I'm considering it, man, for video editing and everything. I wonder if that'll be good. I'm gonna
yeah.
test it out.
All right. What about A80J versus C1? How much difference is there? All right. So with the A80J, something to keep in mind is at 77 inches, it's going to have the new panel.
Hmm.
At 77 inches on the C1, LG is software restricting it to perform as if it had the old panel. Sony, there may be some restriction in there, but for the most part, they let it go. So if you're at 77 inches, definitely I would say the A80J. If you're at 55 or 65, it's panel lottery for both. And then also the A80J has that semi-gloss screen coating that some people don't like. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I know what you could show. You could show it on the Xbox menu screen. Um, unless you don't have it hooked up. I was gonna say you could go through the icons and show the image retention, but
yeah, hang on. Probably be easier to do it on the PlayStation because the PlayStation's menu is HDR.
oh yeah. Do they have the squares? I don't remember.
Let me just do this.
I haven't played the PlayStation in so long. I feel so bad. Everybody wants a PlayStation 5, and I got one just kind of like just sitting there not being played.
Well, I mean, I have so little time that I don't really get to play it either. I just have it for when I get to do videos for it. But
Yeah.
there are some stuff I'm gonna make time soon to play through.
Literally the only time I put it on is when I do videos.
Um, all right, so this whole thing with Sony and VRR, we just gotta hope that they bring it in December, and we gotta hope that they don't just do Forum VRR, that they also bring FreeSync Premium. If they do, that's great.
Yeah.
But the other thing that we really want is a Dolby Vision gaming mode. They are not going to be able to do Dolby Vision 120. That's
Right.
out of the cards because of the limitation where you have to switch if you want 120 or Dolby Vision. So the best we can hope for there is Dolby Vision 60 game mode with low input lag. So that's what we need to
Yeah.
push them for.
And that's the thing, if you're a gamer and you're deciding between these two, it's like, can you trust Sony to deliver on a Dolby Vision game mode if Dolby Vision gaming becomes a good thing? Like, I personally, I don't see it. Like, I just don't see it. They haven't proven that they did stuff like that in the past. So, what makes you think they're gonna do it in the future?
Yeah. Yeah, Evan, that's pretty much what it is. LG just gives you the content as it comes, whereas the Sony, you can disable the reality creation, but if you use it, then it's going to sit there and it's going to try and pick out the bad stuff. And overall, most people agree that it does do a good job.
Yeah, it's a good point. And Brad, that's exactly why I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see if Sony is even gonna like add anything. Because
Um,
they promised it last year. Same thing. It was like, oh yeah, we're gonna add it at the end of the year, and what happened? They didn't add it. And yeah, there was all that drama.
right, Jeremy, we don't want pink tint. It's do you want pink tint possibly, or do you want green tint possibly? Because that's what we had last year. Do you want spider webbing possibly? There's a lot of different problems. We want the new panel because of the efficiency and probably going to be lasting longer.
Yeah.
And more resistant to burn in.
I'll say this about the spider webbing. I've seen it on every OLED that I tested so far this year. So
Here, let me show you this that I showed earlier. So if you've been here this whole time, you're going to see this again. But for the people who haven't, this was the A80J out of the box. And none of this was visible in content except for really dark areas, this red and pink at the bottom. But as far as the banding in uniformity issues, like it looks really bad in the picture,
yeah.
but it was not aggressive enough to be visible in real content.
Mm-hmm.
And then the few hours that's on it and a pixel refresher, and it looks a lot better. I just got to wait for it to get dark and take more pictures. And then again, the pink tint on it is more noticeable than on the G1, but the G1 has that bar down the say like 2/3 to the right side of the screen in the banding that is visible in some content.
Yeah.
So you just don't know what you're gonna get. All right,
On
so we've been
my
on the screen for a little
80J,
bit.
on my A80J, I had a little hot spot in the center that I noticed from time to time pop up. It was like whiter than the rest of the screen.
Yeah, see, like that didn't even really show any image retention there.
Yeah. So go to like the game icons. Like when you see your whole library. I could get it just like showing on command on that one.
Yeah, see, it's an SDR and it's on medium here, so let me turn it up.
Yeah, go to your games and apps and then just like let it sit for a little bit on that screen and then you'll go down to like manage or something where you see less squares and you'll notice that where those brighter squares were you'll see image retention. So like probably like on that I seen it on a really yellow logo like I noticed it on the Cyberpunk logo, the Sea of Thieves logo, some like bright greens, bright yellows, things like that.
All
So
right,
now go down to manage, I think, or like maybe updates. On the left.
Yeah, I went down here. And then go where?
Just on the left. And then like go to full library. You could see like right underneath the squares. If you go to full library after you're on the side with all the games, you'll see the square highlights on the A80J. So yeah, when you're on that full library screen, you should be able to see some of the squares that were on that previous screen of games. So switch over to it like real quick right after you leave it hanging on that screen. That's how I was
I
able
can
to.
very faintly see it.
Yeah.
I find in HDR it's certainly easier to see.
Right.
But especially after calibration where it gets brighter.
But you see it on the A80J, you don't see it on the other one.
Yeah, I never really see image retention on the G1 at all, which it amazes me. That's one thing. The build quality on the G1 is top notch. It feels better, looks better than the Sony. There is no visible image retention, even though it's as bright or brighter, unless you like purposely try to put something on the screen to see it, and even then, it goes away so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
LG really did a good job with the build of the G1.
Hey, FOMO is here. What's up? Stop the
Yep.
FOMO.
Yes, dynamic tone mapping in HDR does raise the black levels, and you won't have the shadow detail being crushed out.
Yeah.
Hey, FOMO. How's it going? Alexander, thank you for the super chat. Hey guys, thanks for sharing information. I'm interested in learning how to calibrate any recommendations or certification programs. Yeah, there's ISF, and I know THX used to. I don't know if they still do. I don't know if Magician's still around, if he knows about THX. But ISF is the main one now. And for information, just go check out the AVS forums. Lots of calibration stuff there. How improved is C1 over C10? It's a minor update, mostly to do with the motion, the upscaling, and a little bit better near black handling. Hey, FOMO, thank you for that. 77 G1 versus A80J. What surprises in this comparison? For me, it's that the even the highlight brightness on the G1 in HDR matches or sometimes exceeds the A80J, even though they measure roughly the same. And on the C1, that doesn't happen. On the C1, the smaller windows don't get brighter. Then, like once you go below 10%, the C1, at least that I've seen, like either stays around the same brightness as 10% or it maybe goes up a tiny bit or it goes down, but there's really not much push. And we all know Sony likes to push the small windows, and it seems the G1 does that as well. And then SDR brightness is certainly noticeable, more bright or brighter on the G1. And the clarity difference, the sharpness difference, the color difference is also extremely similar. It's just the reality creation, when enabled, does bring out some detail that you can't see, or at least not see as well on the LG. Ninjician answered he was THX certified back in the day. It's not the same anymore. So yeah, just keep a focus on the ISF. All right, what content should I switch to now? I guess I'll go over to the Spears and Munzel disc. Get some high quality stuff actually playing.
Yeah.
Oh, and I will point out the whole Sony has bad motion this year stuff out of the box. Yeah, vertical panning compared to the LG, there was some extra stutter or whatever, but again, it comes down to that Cinemotion setting. If that Cinemotion setting is not correct for the content and the device you're using, that's your problem with Sony Motion. If you set the settings right, it clears it up, and it's excellent.
Yeah. The motion on both of these TVs are really
Yeah,
great.
I say they're a tie.
Yeah, I agree.
Where did my Blu-ray remote go? Another reason that I like the Sony remote that you can't see, it plays nice with all my devices more so than the LG remote. So I can pretty much just use the Sony remote and that's it. And it's a big reason that I want to get the backlit one from the A90J if I want to deal with the batteries.
Yeah.
All right, should I play this in HDR or Dolby Vision? Any takers? Because I got to pick now, because that's the problem with this Blu-ray player. You got to pick if you want Dolby Vision or HDR before you start it.
Do Dolby Vision.
So yes, that is the downside of this 4K Blu-ray player.
Is this the UB?
Yeah, the UBP X700.
Yeah.
Give me 10 o'clock.
All right. All right, do we want accurate or bright? All right, right now that's in cinema, so... Oh, I got just the camera.
Yeah, let's go accurate.
All right, both are in their accurate modes. The LG's in cinema and the Sony's in Dolby Vision Dark. And the tone mapping is off on the Sony.
Which one looks better to you right now?
All right, so right there where that color is on the ground, the Sony had that color getting brighter.
Mm-hmm.
The sun right there. Well, you can't see the sun on the
Can you
Sony,
go
but
back to the hot springs with the water, the blue water?
yeah.
I don't know what it is, but the G1 looks better to me.
They're default white points. So the Sony is a little more green and Dolby Vision out of the box.
Okay. But look at
You
the
can
sky
definitely
right
tell
here.
right there how that's more red, and then the
Yeah.
Sony, just the fur just doesn't look quite right when it's that default Dolby Vision whatever white point on the Sony.
Gotcha.
Right, but yeah, when it comes to the just like the pure color volume and the colors through bright areas, color saturation, all that's very very similar. And again, they are the same panel. So, all right, let's see questions. Now the good thing is with the Sony, adjusting its white point is very easy.
Mm-hmm.
So does the Sony have more sharpness than the G1 without reality creation on? In 4K pristine quality, they're extreme. They're basically the same. When it comes to lower res stuff, the Sony just does better at upscaling. All right, thanks for coming by, FOMO. Have a good night.
Later, FOMO.
Yeah, like I said many times, the camera is not the greatest at picking all this stuff up, and right now everything on the camera is locked, so it's not just going all over the place.
For
So I would
sure.
have to sit there and adjust white balance scene to scene and whatnot for it to be really accurate as far as the camera goes.
Yeah, and I know how hard it is to set up these Panasonic cameras.
Mm-hmm. Justin's gonna save 800 and get the A80J. Yeah, if you're not worried about the warranty and you're not worried about the gaming features, they are, like I said, so close, so close. All right, now I'm gonna switch the Dolby Vision settings to what I think most people would like.
Wow.
All right, yeah. So like right there when I switched the LG from cinema to cinema home, it actually got really dark for a split second, and then it started to realize that it needed to get brighter and grew brighter.
Mm-hmm.
So now with us in cinema home, it's a substantial increase over the accuracy curve compared to what I have the Sony in, which is Dolby Vision Bright with gradation preferred, like we were talking about earlier. So
Yeah.
that's only a little bit brighter than accurate, whereas the LG, it makes many steps above accurate.
Yeah. So
But then
what do you see different about these two images right here?
um, to make it fair, I'm going to boost the brightness on the Sony now.
Okay.
So if you want brightness preferred, then that's like giving it everything, or you just turn it off. And that's more similar.
So do you think they're pretty identical, or?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time seeing any difference right now.
All right.
The little tiny rocks on the ground, because of the rowdy creation, are just slightly more visible, but
Mhm.
I'm
What
also
about the
sitting further away, so
What about the highlights in the water, like in the middle of the water?
yeah, it's all about the same.
Okay.
All right, let me go to another scene. All right, so I don't know if, yeah, so the camera is making the skies right there look about the same color. In reality, the Sony has less orange in the sky right there, and the LG has more orange coming through that cloud.
Okay. Yeah. See, I didn't notice that at all. So it's definitely um more of what you're seeing for sure.
And I just noticed a dead pixel on the LG right now.
Uh-oh. Good thing you're taking it back.
All right, so here, I keep
Wait,
forgetting the LG.
where's the
This
dead
is a
pixel
good
at?
point. This is a good point. It's off where the camera can see,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
over here in the cloud. But yeah, I can use the pointer on the LG. So this spot on both TVs, the Sony is
Yeah.
brighter, but you can't see it because it's off camera. Um, the cloud looks kind of darker on the LG than on the Sony.
Okay.
Um, However, on the LG, right, right there, there's a little more color that I can see.
Gotcha. Brad wants to know if you could throw on live color for one of these scenes while it's paused.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So when we were in the accurate mode, these colors down here were brighter and looked to have more saturation on the Sony. But now that we're in the brighter Dolby Vision modes, it seems to have switched. And the LG looks a little brighter in the colors right here. All right.
Gotcha.
So then pull up live color. All right. Let's see if you can see this. So right now it's off,
Okay.
low, medium, high.
See a
So I think
little.
now you can see that the orange and stuff on the ground
Yeah.
is more saturated.
Yep. On low, it's very subtle, and then I've like on medium, it just you start to see more of an effect, and then high, it just takes to an extreme. Is what I
I would
noticed.
say medium actually looks like how it does on the LG. So what I was
Yeah.
just saying about the LG having more saturation in this
Yep.
mode,
Yep.
it seems like if you put it at medium, then it's matching what the LG's doing.
Yeah. That's exactly what I found.
And where I'm sitting, I can see pink tint in the clouds on the Sony.
And I would say live color on high is like really close to what like Samsung does.
I can definitely tell it definitely oversaturated compared to the LG.
Yeah.
Yes, this demo is the Spears and Munzel UHD disc, and it's $40, and I recommend anyone who cares about TV stuff to get it.
Yeah. You keep reminding me. Does it work with the Xbox?
Yeah.
Or do you need a certain? Okay. Figured it would.
All right. So where should I put live color? Keep it on or turn it off?
Um. I don't know. Like if you say if it matches it with the medium, then maybe just keep it on.
See, on the previous
Medium.
scene, medium was matching it. Now that it's
Yeah.
zoomed in, low is matching what the LG is doing.
Okay. Just keep it on low then. That's what I was running with for a while was low. I actually liked low. I didn't think it added too much saturation. I think it just matched the C1.
Yeah, so right now the Sony, as a reminder, is in Dolby Vision Bright with tone mapping off.
Hmm.
The LG is in Cinema Home, and the Sony now has live color on low.
Yeah,
And I'm hard pressed to see any difference.
yeah. I mean,
Ninjishin says
you
live
could turn
color
it off.
always
Yeah,
off.
for sure. Like
Um,
if you want the most accurate
yeah,
image.
I think what that does show though is that the LG and Cinema Home, aside from just being brighter, is also doing something to its colors.
Hmm.
Because when I had it in cinema and the Sony in Dolby Dark, then it wasn't like this.
Yeah. Yeah, live color is just for people that want more of that Samsung saturation look to your image.
All right, so now the Sony is back in Dolby Dark with tone mapping off and live color off. And I can definitely see where the LG is adding some saturation right through here.
Hmm.
You can't see, but like right there. So let me put this back into cinema.
And name tags kind of blocking it. But yeah, I can
Yeah, no.
kind of see what you're saying.
But see, like here, Cinema Home actually darkens everything um, to brighten up other areas. And then if I switch to cinema, which is accurate, then the sky gets brighter and so on.
Yep.
Yeah, like this with both of them in their accurate settings, they're really, really similar. Just the difference in those white points.
Hmm. Would you say this is probably the case with the C1 as well?
I would say in a bright scene like this, the C1's not going to be as bright.
Right.
So again, here, this scene, I'm seeing like no difference.
Right. I'll be right back.
Review, I went over this earlier, that for accuracy, Dolby Dark with tone mapping off is accurate. But for people who want close to accurate, just with a little bit more brightness, you can go into Dolby Bright and turn gradation preferred on. And what that does is it darkens the Dolby Bright setting a little bit to be kind of like a middle ground. But again, that's not accurate. That's just if people want a little bit more brightness than the accurate setting. Story. Review, you got to remember that different sizes are different. And aside from your typical panel variants, um, there's variants by size as well. So the 77 G1 is actually very accurate out of the box when it comes to the colors. It's just the grayscale that has problems. And it's warmer than D65. So what you're talking about is if you turn reality creation off and you're in custom mode, then it should fully defeat it. But if reality creation's on, then it's on. So it doesn't matter if it's in custom mode. So here with this water, you can see some difference based in their white points. The dude, definitely A80J 77, because you're basically getting a bigger version of the A90J just without the heatsink. And the heatsink just helps clear up the image retention faster and maybe hold on to brightness a little bit longer. But when you're actually watching content and it's playing, that's typically not visible or an issue.
All right, I'm back.
But you're going to get more impact and more immersion from a bigger size. All right. Any other requests? We're about over 2.5 hours now.
Wow, that's pretty long.
Yep.
I thought my live streams were long.
Yeah. I knew this one was going to run pretty long, but yes, I wasn't even expecting that long. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to show that won't be in the review. Yeah, I think we covered a wide range of stuff.
Yeah. Is there any more questions in chat? Let's see.
Yeah, so the one thing that the other thing the heatsink helps with is your average picture level brightness or a more relaxed ABL on the A90J. So you do get that. But again, I think you're going to get more immersion and more perceived brightness from a bigger size.
You have 90 likes with 94 people watching. That's pretty good. And I only told people to like it once.
All right, well, thank you all for liking. Yeah, so this little feather, or this big feather, the little details on it, like just the very fringe edges of it and stuff is a little bit sharper on the Sony. Otherwise, they're looking pretty identical here.
Wow.
And there's the cat. Corn, get down.
Is super resolution good for watching 1080p content? I didn't notice it that much. We did a demonstration earlier. You could kind of see a difference, but I wouldn't say it's that big of a deal.
VRR we covered earlier. We hope it comes. It should come. It better come, but we don't know for sure. But except that it's supposed to be coming in December. We'll see. It's beating a dead horse at this point, I think. Ooh, wait a minute. That might be a difference. Hold on.
This cat is just chilling on the TV.
It looks like there's more luminance coming through that flower on the Sony right here.
Yeah, it looks like your cat is hiding under the flower.
Yeah. There, that's closer to what that scene looks like.
This is the one you pointed out on the QNED where you're like, ugh.
No, that was the yellow one.
Yeah, the yellow flower. Yeah, I think I'm behind. I think I'm looking at the stream. Yeah, okay. I'm dumb. I'm looking at the stream instead of the actual StreamYard.
All right, so this is interesting. Where's my pointer? So one thing I pointed out in the QNED was the G1, this white area around the edge of the flower.
Yeah.
That highlight was way brighter on the OLED than the QNED.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing the brightness is actually about the same on the two. but it seems like there's a little bit more uh, blowing out, where it's like there's a finer line and it's not as thick of an area on the Sony, whereas the LG right here, if you can see the pointer, like it's making this white part look wider and thicker than it is on the Sony. So I don't know which one it's supposed to be,
Right.
but it looks like the Sony is holding detail better, but while matching the brightness, at least on that one spot.
Hmm.
Here you can see the shadow detail in the butterfly more on the Sony, but the camera's not going to pick it up. Also, the yellow at the bottom of the body is definitely brighter on the Sony.
Yeah,
But the red part is brighter on the LG.
that makes sense.
The red here, I would say, is more of a like a darker maroon red on the Sony, more of an orangish red on the LG. All right, this one I got to give to the Sony. I don't know if the camera's. Let me turn it a little bit.
You give this one to the Sony?
Yeah, it's getting brighter in those sparks. I think the camera's picking it up a little bit.
It is. Right above that middle line right there. Like the curve of the bar. It's definitely picking it up.
Yeah.
Like you have a
Also,
white point to the orange, and you don't really see that on the G1.
yeah, and then also where that circle is, right above it, those black dots and specks, all that's sharper on the Sony.
That's interesting.
The green's definitely brighter on the Sony, like it's shown on the camera.
Yep.
Although the LG, I think, is doing the purple better. All right, so that main building with the round top is brighter on the LG.
Oh, is it? Wow.
The Paul Hastings, bring up the pointer. So this building, the lights, you can't see it on the LG right now, but it says Paul Hastings. That's more legible on the Sony.
Oh, okay.
So that one. But this building does look brighter white on the LG.
Yeah, it seems like the lights are coming through more on the LG. On this scene.
Over, let's see. So, where's the pointer? This building, the rooftop, the camera's crushing it out on both. But this is darker than on the Sony. The Sony, I can make out the details on this rooftop.
Yeah.
And then here, let me turn this up. Those trees definitely have more detail and are easier seen on the Sony. But now these building lights look a little brighter on the Sony.
It's funny how that
That's
works.
what I'm saying. It's scene to scene. It's just
Yeah.
like whichever one wants to push more. I don't know. The center of the Ferris wheel is brighter on the G1. All right, now that tree. Let's see. Is definitely brighter on the G1. No, these are the accurate modes. This is Cinema on the LG and Dolby Vision Dark with tone mapping off on the Sony. All right, was there any more requests? Because by the time we get to the end of this demo, I'm going to be ending it. So any more questions or requests, let me know. All right, here the LG sky is more blue. But I don't know which one is more, like, should it be more blue or should it be more light blue? I don't know.
Yes. I don't know. Which has better motion in the scene? They were asking.
They're the same.
Yeah.
Right now, all the motion settings are disabled on both.
This is going to be a good test. I like this one.
Here, where it goes from orange to white to blue, there's faintly, but it is visible, the color banding.
Uh-huh.
Whereas on the Sony, you don't see it. The gradation control on the Sony is just better.
They're both set to off right now, or are they both on low?
They're both off.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed the Sony does a better job at handling the gradients.
Tomorrow, the auto genre selection on LG it's going to automatically pick motion settings for you. So disable that, and then you can adjust the motion settings yourself. Which has a better game mode picture quality regardless of VRR. The Sony can get sharper because it can use reality creation in game mode. But the LG and SDR is going to be brighter, especially because you can disable the dimming.
Yeah, this is the scene I like a lot. Because you could see a lot of, if there is any banding, you can see it. And then you can really see some small highlight detail.
Yeah, the sky is definitely smoother on the Sony. Let me adjust the camera a little bit so it doesn't look blown out.
I see the color difference here on the sky. I don't know if that's coming through on your end.
Yeah, mostly in those clouds, at least from this angle, I'm getting more pink in the clouds on the Sony.
Yeah.
Like I said, this G1 though had such little pink tint. Like, if only the Sony had was that good when it comes to the pink tint, it would have been a perfect panel.
Yeah.
Spillage Village. I was saying that the LG color accuracy on the 77 G1 is very good. The Sony is more accurate overall because of the grayscale. But the 77 G1 is very different than even the 77 C1 or the 65 G1. They're all different.
Which one's clearer to you? On the alligator picture?
I'm sitting closer to the LG, so it's not really.
Okay.
But otherwise, they're the same.
Yeah. Are the parrots looking the same? They look the same.
Yeah, I called it like 10:45 yesterday. Yeah, they look the same. All right. I'm not seeing any more requests or questions.
Nope. I think that's it.
Wouldn't use the manufacturer's white point or D65 on these. With these being the WBE or new Evo panel, D-Nice did a lot of work and come up with a white point that perceptually looks more like D65 is supposed to look like. So I use his white point. All right, so KG has a stream coming Friday, 4 Pacific, so check that out.
Yep.
I think we're going to pretty much call it here. We've been running for quite a while. So just keep an eye out over the next few days, and I'll have some videos coming up showing these two. But like I said, I'm going to shoot them individually and then edit them together. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And then I do have a tour of my room coming up. And I should be on with UKG. We'll see. I'll let you know as it gets closer. And Jishin says to invite him, and he'll join you.
Okay.
So, all right.
Probably do like half of the stream where it's just me answering some questions, and then I'll have guests on for the second half of the stream, something like that.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming. It was a lot more than I thought. It's been a good stream. So, all right. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and end it. So, thank you all. Have a good night.
Guys.